To speedrun is to attempt to reach the end of a video game in the fastest time possible. Every game that has ever mattered has been speedrun, but it wasn't always this way. In the infancy of online speedrunning communities, people only played Doom. And before official speedruns, there was the LMP Hall of Fame, where people posted their fastest clears of different Doom levels, as well as different challenge runs where they would complete levels under specific conditions. The site that officially created speedrunning was Compete.N, and people posted their fastest Doom runs, but it wasn't very popular, and the runs weren't properly organized in any way. But 4 years later, after the release of Quake, this guy went on to create nightmarespeeddemos.com, a site where you post your fastest Quake runs. But this time, there was a functioning leaderboard. The only problem was that you had to beat the game on the Nightmare difficulty for your run to be accepted. The interesting thing about this is that playing on Nightmare difficulty directly increased the time it would take to beat the game, as well as the difficulty of the run. Why would gamers do this if the goal of the speedrun is solely to beat the game as fast as possible? So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Different types of speedruns, challenge runs, and the specifications and rules around them. After Nightmare Speed Demos, the concept of different types of speedruns would later evolve, and soon, many new speedrunning forums and communities for different games began to pop up all over the internet, all of which had their own niches and communal rules that needed to be followed for your speedrun to be valid. There are base rules you need to follow to speedrun any game, and they're much more complicated than one would expect. These runs began to be separated into different rule sets to accommodate different types of speedruns, the most popular being any percent and 100%. So the any percent run is what many would consider true speedrunning. The goal is to beat the game as fast as possible with all available tools. Typically, this means that glitches, warps, and exploits are permitted. This results in people beating very long games in very short amounts of time. As of now, the fastest any percent Elden Ring speedrun is under 6 minutes, whereas the fastest run without warping is barely under an hour. It took me well over 100 though. Most optimized any percent speedruns end this way, with a few game-breaking glitches that take you to the credits in a very short amount of time. But the far more entertaining and skillful speedruns, in my opinion, are glitchless runs, no-hit runs, marathon runs, and other challenge runs that are still timed. In a glitchless or 100% run, you're seeing peak performance for an extended period of time. These runners have to have muscle memory, reaction time, skill, and sometimes luck on their side for much longer periods of time than any percent, sometimes for hours even, making minimal or no mistakes along the way. I've always found these runs fascinating. Some of my favorites include Dark Souls All Bosses, Super Mario 64 All Stars, and Portal Glitchless. This applies to an even greater extent in the no-hit or no-damage run. It is absolutely mind-boggling for me to watch people play the Souls games or bullet hell games with absolutely perfect movement, avoiding all damage and reacting to everything in front of them, but also trying to beat the game as fast as possible. There's even a popular speedrun where people attempt to beat all of the FromSoft games back-to-back without taking a single hit. The first person to do this with just the Dark Souls series was the Happy Hop. This is one of the most triumphant moments in speedrun and challenge history.
Trilogy no-hit run! We did it! Fucking 12 months! Game in history! Dark Souls history! Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1!
Some games don't fit the normal speedrunning formula because they don't necessarily end. This doesn't stop people from trying it anyways though. A great example of this is high round speedruns in Call of Duty Zombies. The only way for this game to end is for the player to die, so a handful of runners decided to see who could get to round 100 the fastest. These people terrify me. The fastest round 100 speedrun for the map Kino der Toten is over 7 hours long, and one wrong move could mean a game over. Any caution taken is also going to put you at risk for getting a worse time. My introduction to speedruns and challenge runs came to me at a very interesting time in my life. I'd just graduated high school early, and I was having a really hard time getting a new job in a distance I could reach without a car. There was a month between me finishing school and starting work at a local gas station, and during this time, where I had all the free time in the world, but all my friends were still at school, I ended up falling into an internet rabbit hole with Dark Souls challenge runs and speedrunning. I was watching Lobos just absolutely spank this game that gave me a really hard time in the past, and I didn't learn how to speedrun, but I picked up a few techniques and strategies that made the game make a lot more sense to me, and subsequent playthroughs of the game were much easier and significantly less frustrating. Before this time, I'd only beaten Dark Souls 1 and 3 once each, but in the 2 weeks leading up to starting my job, I'd beaten both games with every class. It became less of a grind and more of a meditative experience for me. When you walk between the boss fights in these games, there's no music, so I had a lot of time to think to myself and understand more about me. I think it was around this time I decided I wanted to make YouTube videos like this. I put it off for like 5 years, but I'm doing it now and it's a lot of fun. So it might seem like a silly thing, but watching speedruns and challenge runs ended up meaning a lot to me. The discipline and determination these people put into beating games very fast, especially without skips or warps, is mind-boggling to me. And while I'm not willing to commit myself to such a thing, I'm glad these folks all do, and I'm glad that I get to see it all and appreciate them over the internet. And while it's cool that you can see someone beat a game that took you a long ass time in 6 minutes by warping to the credits, I think I like watching runs with specific rule sets that encourage the actual gameplay to be used in creative and skilled ways.